The forest of Blackwood was notorious for its eerie reputation. It wasn't just the dense, almost impenetrable canopy that blocked out the sun, or the unnerving silence that seemed to swallow every sound. No, it was the stories, the whispered tales of hunters who ventured in and never returned, of shadowy figures that prowled just out of sight, and of an ancient evil that lurked deep within. One crisp autumn afternoon, a group of seasoned hunters from the nearby village of Ravensbrook decided to test their mettle against the legends. The leader of the group, Elias, was a grizzled man in his 40s with a lifetime of hunting experience. He was accompanied by his younger brother, Thomas, a skilled tracker, and two friends, Michael and Robert, both adept with their bows. They were confident that their combined skills and knowledge would keep them safe. As they entered the forest, the atmosphere changed almost immediately. The temperature dropped, and a heavy, oppressive feeling settled over them. The once cheerful chirping of birds was replaced by an unsettling stillness. Elias shrugged off the discomfort and urged the group deeper into the woods. Hours passed, and the hunters saw no signs of wildlife. It was as if the entire forest was void of life. Thomas, always the observant one, pointed out that even the usual sounds of insects were absent. It was then that they stumbled upon the first sign of something amiss: a circle of scorched earth surrounded by strange, twisted symbols carved into the ground. Elias dismissed it as the work of superstitious villagers, but the others couldn't shake the feeling of unease that crept over them. As dusk approached, the group decided to set up camp near a small clearing. They built a fire, hoping the light and warmth would drive away the chill that seemed to seep into their bones. Over dinner, they shared stories and tried to lift their spirits, but the oppressive silence of the forest made every word feel hollow. When night fell, the forest seemed to come alive with whispers. Shadows danced at the edges of their vision, and strange, distant sounds echoed through the trees. Michael, the most superstitious of the group, swore he saw glowing eyes watching them from the darkness, but Elias assured him it was just a trick of the light. Around midnight, as the fire began to die down, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence. It was a sound of pure terror, and it seemed to come from just beyond the clearing. The hunters grabbed their weapons and huddled together, straining to see into the inky blackness. They decided to investigate, thinking it might be someone in need of help. As they ventured into the darkness, the trees seemed to close in around them, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands. The air grew colder, and the whispers grew louder, almost intelligible now. They followed the sound of the scream, which seemed to lead them in circles. Just when they were about to give up, they stumbled upon a grisly scene. In a small clearing, bathed in an eerie, unnatural light, lay the remains of a hunter. His body was torn apart, as if by some savage beast. The sight was enough to make even the most hardened of them feel sick. Thomas knelt down to examine the body and found deep, claw-like marks that were unlike anything he had ever seen. It was then that they heard a low, guttural growl from the darkness. Panic set in as the hunters realized they were being hunted. They fled back towards their camp, but the forest seemed to twist and change around them, turning every direction into a maze. One by one, they were picked off by the unseen predator. Michael was the first to go, dragged screaming into the darkness. Robert vanished soon after, leaving only a blood-stained hat behind. Elias and Thomas, now desperate, made a last stand in the clearing where they had set up camp. They built the fire back up, hoping it would keep whatever was hunting them at bay. As the flames roared to life, they caught a glimpse of their pursuer, a massive, shadowy figure with eyes that glowed like embers. It stood at the edge of the firelight, watching them with an almost intelligent malevolence. The creature lunged, and in the ensuing chaos, Thomas was dragged away, his screams echoing through the trees. Elias, now alone and terrified, fought with every ounce of strength he had left. He managed to wound the beast, causing it to retreat, but he knew it was only a matter of time before it came back. With dawn still hours away, Elias did the only thing he could. He ran. He ran through the twisted, nightmarish forest, the creature's growls and the whispers of the trees haunting his every step. Exhausted and bleeding, he finally burst out of the forest and into the safety of the village. Elias was never the same after that night. He spoke of the creature that hunted them, of the ancient evil that lurked in Blackwood Forest. Most villagers dismissed his story as the ravings of a man driven mad by fear, but some believed. They knew the legends were true, and that Blackwood Forest was a place best left undisturbed. Years later, as the forest reclaimed its secrets, the tale of the ill-fated hunt became another chapter in the dark history of Blackwood, a warning to all who dared to enter its shadowed depths. Elias never found peace after that fateful night. The nightmares plagued him every time he closed his eyes. He would wake up in a cold sweat, the echoes of his friends' screams ringing in his ears. The village, once a place of solace, now felt suffocating. He couldn't escape the whispers, the looks of pity, or the quiet accusations that maybe, just maybe, he had left his friends to die. One night, while drinking alone at the village tavern, Elias was approached by a stranger. The man was tall and gaunt, with piercing blue eyes that seemed to see straight into Elias's soul. He introduced himself as Draven, a scholar of the occult who had come to Ravensbrook after hearing the tales of Blackwood Forest. "I believe you, Elias," Draven said, his voice low and serious. "I know the creature you speak of, and I know how to stop it." Elias was skeptical at first, but desperation and guilt made him listen. Draven explained that the creature was an ancient guardian, bound to protect something hidden deep within the forest. The strange symbols they had found were wards, meant to keep the guardian contained. But someone or something had disturbed them, awakening the beast. "I can help you put it to rest," Draven said, leaning in closer. "But I need your help. You know the forest better than anyone, and together, we might stand a chance." Reluctantly, Elias agreed. They spent the next few days preparing for the journey. Draven brought ancient texts, ritual supplies, and weapons forged with silver, said to be the only metal that could harm the creature. Elias sharpened his blades and steeled his resolve, determined to end the nightmare once and for all. The night they entered Blackwood Forest, a heavy fog hung over the trees. The oppressive silence was back, but this time, Elias felt a strange sense of purpose. They moved quickly and quietly, retracing the steps of the doomed hunt. As they neared the scorched circle, Draven began to chant in a language Elias didn't understand. The symbols around the circle started to glow faintly, and the air grew colder. Suddenly, the creature emerged from the shadows, its eyes burning with malevolent fury. It lunged at them, but Draven's wards held it back. The scholar continued his incantations while Elias readied his weapons. The battle was fierce, with the creature's strength and speed almost overwhelming them. But Elias fought with a desperation born of guilt and determination. He landed a blow with his silver sword, and the creature howled in pain.